Hello guys, welcome to Scion What If. So in this video, we will see what if Goku was sealed with the Supreme Kai's power for 100,000 years. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, Awakening. The seal shattered with a sound that didn't belong in this universe. Not a crash or an explosion, more like reality itself tearing open. A blinding flash of purple and white energy erupted from the ancient stone temple that had stood undisturbed on this forgotten planet for longer than anyone could remember. Goku fell to his knees, gasping for air that tasted strange and new after 100,000 years. His muscles trembled as power, different from anything he'd ever known, coursed through his veins. He blinked rapidly, adjusting to actual light after an eternity of darkness. "What the?" he mumbled, his voice cracking from disuse. "Did it work? Is the void maw still contained?" No one answered. The temple around him was crumbling, chunks of stone floating upward against gravity before disintegrating into dust. Whatever magic had sustained this place was failing now that its purpose was complete. Goku struggled to his feet, wobbling slightly. His familiar orange gi hung in tatters around his transformed body. He looked down at his hands, they glowed with a faint purple energy that pulsed in time with his heartbeat. Supreme Kai's power hadn't just sealed him away, it had changed him. "Feels weird," he said to himself, flexing his fingers. "Like I'm hollow and overflowing at the same time." A massive chunk of ceiling crashed down beside him. "Right, time to leave." Goku concentrated, searching for the familiar sensation of instant transmission. The energy responded differently than before, almost eagerly, and suddenly he stood outside under an alien sky filled with stars in unfamiliar patterns. The temple collapsed behind him, folding in on itself until nothing remained but a crater in the ground. Goku took a deep breath and looked around. The planet seemed deserted, rocky terrain stretching to the horizon under 3 moons of varying sizes. "Hello," he called out. "Anyone here? Supreme Kai? Vegeta? Gohan?" The silence hit him harder than any punch ever had. Of course they weren't here. 100,000 years. The number had seemed abstract when he'd agreed to the sealing, but now the reality crashed down on him. Everyone he knew would be. "No," Goku shook his head. "Focus. Find Earth first. Figure everything else out later." He closed his eyes, reaching out with his senses across space. Earth had always felt like a beacon to him, bright with familiar energies. But the universe felt different now. Whether because of his transformation or the passage of time, he couldn't tell. There. A faint pull that felt like home. Without hesitation, Goku gathered the strange new energy and transported himself across the stars. He materialized in the middle of a forest and immediately knew something was wrong. This was Earth, the gravity, the air, the essential feeling of the planet was right, but everything else felt off. The trees were enormous, with bioluminescent leaves that glowed blue in the night. Strange creatures scurried through the underbrush, nothing like the animals he remembered. How much has changed, he wondered aloud, beginning to walk through the forest. A sudden flare of ki nearby caught his attention. Combat energy, someone was fighting. Goku broke into a run, leaping over fallen trees and navigating by instinct toward the disturbance. The familiar excitement of potential battle momentarily overshadowed his disorientation. He burst into a clearing and stopped short. A woman with blue-tinted skin and black hair tied in a short ponytail was surrounded by 5 humanoid creatures with metallic exoskeletons. She fought fiercely, her movements enhanced by focused ki energy that reminded Goku painfully of Gohan's fighting style. "Just hand over the artifact." "Nova," one of the attackers growled, his voice distorted through his helmet. "Lord Vecna doesn't have to know you were injured in the process." "Come try it," the woman, Nova, shot back, dropping into a defensive stance Goku recognized instantly. The turtle hermit stance, slightly modified but unmistakable. Without thinking, Goku stepped forward. Hey! 5 against 1 doesn't seem fair. All eyes turned to him. The woman looked startled, while the armored figures tensed. Stay out of this, old man, one of them warned. This doesn't concern you. Goku smiled, the familiar pre-battle excitement flooding through him. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. 2 of the attackers exchanged glances, then raised their hands. Energy weapons mounted on their forearms hummed to life, and they fired simultaneously. Goku didn't move. The energy blasts hit him directly, and dissipated across his chest like water splashing against stone. What the? One of them began. Goku disappeared and reappeared behind the group. My turn. He tapped 2 of them lightly on their shoulders. Just tapped. Both went flying across the clearing, crashing through several trees before coming to a stop. Goku blinked in surprise. He hadn't meant to hit them that hard. Oops. Still getting used to this, he muttered. The remaining 3 attackers backed away, their body language shifting from confidence to fear. What are you? One asked. Goku scratched the back of his head. I'm just a guy who doesn't like unfair fights. They turned and ran. Goku let them go, turning his attention to the woman who was staring at him with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. Now that he could look more closely, he noticed subtle features that reminded him of human fighters he'd known, the set of her jaw like Vidal's, eyes that could have belonged to Bulma. You're human. At least partly, he asked. The woman's eyes narrowed. I'm Nova. And you're either the most powerful being I've ever met or completely insane. Maybe both. She studied him more carefully, eyes lingering on his tattered GI. What's with the ancient costume? Ancient? Goku looked down at his clothes. This is just my regular GI. Right. Nova didn't lower her guard. And you casually knocked out 2 Vecna elites with a tap because... I don't know my own strength right now, Goku admitted. Been sealed away for a while. Things feel different. Something flashed across Nova's face, recognition. Sealed away, she repeated slowly. In an ancient temple? With divine energy? Goku brightened. Yeah. You know about that? Great. I've got so many questions. Where are we exactly? What year is it? Did everyone make it off Earth before I was sealed? What happened to the Z-fighters? Is there somewhere I can get food? I'm starving. Nova's stance shifted subtly from defensive to ready to attack. Who are you claiming to be? Huh? I'm Goku, he said, confused by her reaction. The woman actually laughed, a short, harsh sound. Right. And I'm the Eternal Dragon. Goku is a legend, a myth from the ancient days. He sacrificed himself 100,000 years ago. That's me. That's how long I was supposed to be sealed, Goku insisted. To contain the Void Maw with Supreme Kai's power. Nova's expression hardened. Prove it. How? The real Goku could transform. Super Saiyan, the legends say. Goku grinned. Oh, that's easy. He concentrated, reaching for the familiar transformation. The energy responded, but differently than he expected. Instead of golden light, purple and white energy exploded around him, lifting him slightly off the ground. His hair stood up but remained black, now streaked with shimmering silver. The aura around him pulsed with divine energy. That's not Super Saiyan, Nova said, taking an involuntary step back. Goku examined his glowing hands in confusion. Huh. That's weird. Let me try again. Before he could, both of them sensed approaching energies, many of them, moving fast. More elites, Nova said grimly. A lot more. Your light show probably attracted them. She seemed to make a quick decision. Come with me if you want to live, Goku. We need to move now. Without waiting for his response, she took off through the forest, her feet barely touching the ground as she channeled ki for speed. Goku followed easily, curious about this strange woman who knew fighting techniques that should have been lost to time. Where are we going? He called ahead. Somewhere safe, she answered without slowing. If you really are who you claim, there are people who need to meet you. They ran for nearly an hour, moving away from civilization into increasingly wild territory. The forest gave way to mountains, and Nova led him along hidden paths and through concealed valleys. Finally, they approached what looked like a solid rock face. Nova placed her hand against the stone and channeled ki in a specific pattern. A doorway silently appeared. Memory Keeper's Sanctuary, she explained tersely. If you're lying about who you are, they'll know. And they'll kill you. I'm not lying, Goku said simply. But I am confused. And hungry. Nova rolled her eyes and led him inside. The passage descended deep into the mountain before opening into a vast cavern illuminated by the same bioluminescent plants Goku had seen in the forest. People moved about, training, studying ancient texts, crafting weapons. All activity ceased when they entered. An elderly man with mottled green and pink skin approached. Despite his apparent age, his ki signature radiated strength and discipline. Nova. You've returned early. And with, a guest. Nova bowed slightly. Master Roshi, this man claims to be Goku. Goku's heart jumped. Roshi? Master Roshi? The old alien smiled kindly. I'm afraid not. I'm the 213th master to bear that name in our order. The original died many millennia ago, but we honor his memory by passing down his title. He studied Goku intently. You truly claim to be Son Goku? The Sealed Guardian? Yeah, that's me, Goku said, increasingly uncomfortable with all the staring. Look, I'm really confused right now. I just woke up after being sealed away with Supreme Kai's power to contain the Void Maw. I need to know what happened to my family, my friends. Is there any record of what happened to them? Master Roshi exchanged glances with Nova, then nodded slowly. Come. There is much to show you. They led Goku deeper into the sanctuary, through passages lined with artifacts and murals depicting battles Goku recognized, and many he didn't. Finally, they entered a circular chamber with a pool at its center. The memory pool, Master Roshi explained. It contains visual records preserved through a technique developed by the original Kai archivists. If you are truly Son Goku, it will respond to your ki signature and show what you seek. Goku approached the still water. What do I do? Touch the surface and focus on what you wish to know. Taking a deep breath, Goku knelt beside the pool and placed his hand on the water. He thought of his sons, Gohan and Goten, of Chi-Chi, of Vegeta and Bulma and all his friends. The water began to glow, rippling outward from his hand. Images formed, hazy at first, then clearing. Gohan, older than Goku remembered, addressing a crowd. My father's sacrifice will never be forgotten. He contained an evil that would have destroyed everything. The image shifted. Goten training a young girl with trunks. Your grandfather would have been proud of your progress, Pan. More images flashed, Vegeta standing guard over Earth, graying but proud. Bulma developing new technologies. Grandchildren growing up, having children of their own. Civilizations rising and falling. Wars. Peace. Progress. Earth changing over thousands, then tens of thousands of years. Humanity evolving, merging with other species as they reached the stars. The legends of the Z-Fighters passing into myth, then being preserved by an order founded to remember the truth. Tears streamed down Goku's face as he watched centuries pass in minutes. Everyone he loved had lived full lives. They had remembered him. They had thrived. They were. Okay, he whispered. They were okay without me. Master Roshi placed a gentle hand on Goku's shoulder. They honored your memory by living well. The Order of Memory Keepers was founded by your great-granddaughter Pan and Vegeta's descendant race to preserve the true history of Earth's defenders. Goku pulled his hand away, and the images faded. He wiped his eyes and stood, trying to process everything he'd seen. So what's happening now? Those guys who attacked Nova mentioned someone called Vecna. Nova stepped forward. Lord Vecna controls this sector of space, including Earth. He rose to power about 300 years ago. His forces have been searching for ancient artifacts of power, especially anything connected to the Kais. Why? There haven't been true Kais for millennia, Master Roshi explained. The cosmic balance has been maintained by lesser deities and councils, but true divine power has become rare and precious. Vecna seeks to harness that power for himself. Goku looked down at his hands, still occasionally pulsing with purple energy. Like the power sealed inside me? Precisely, Master Roshi nodded. If you truly are Goku, if you truly contain the power of a Supreme Kai, you are the most valuable artifact in the universe to someone like Vecna. Nova crossed her arms. Which is why I'm still not convinced you're really him. The legends say Goku was sealed away forever. Why would the seal break now, just when Vecna is searching for Kai artifacts? Before Goku could answer, alarms echoed throughout the sanctuary. A young fighter rushed into the chamber. Master! Vecna's forces have surrounded the mountain. They're led by Commander Tekka himself. Master Roshi's face darkened. They must have tracked you here, Nova. Impossible, she protested. I took every precaution. They tracked me, Goku realized. My energy signal when I tried to transform. I'm still not used to controlling it. The young messenger looked panicked. There are hundreds of them, Master. And they have energy dampeners. Our defenses won't hold. Master Roshi closed his eyes briefly. Begin evacuation protocol. Get the children and archives out through the escape tunnels. As people rushed to follow orders, Goku stepped forward. Let me help. This is my fault. Nova glared at him. Haven't you done enough? Nova, Master Roshi admonished gently. If he truly is Goku, he may be our only hope. Goku met the old master's eyes. I am Goku. And I won't let these people harm your sanctuary. A massive explosion shook the mountain. Dust fell from the ceiling. They've breached the outer defenses, someone shouted. We're out of time, Master Roshi said. Nova, get the backup drives and join the evacuation. I'll hold them off as long as I can. Master, no. Goku put a hand on Nova's shoulder. Nobody's sacrificing themselves today. He turned to Master Roshi. Get your people out. I'll handle this. Without waiting for a response, Goku closed his eyes and concentrated. The strange new energy responded eagerly, and he used instant transmission to teleport outside the mountain. He emerged on a ridge overlooking a grim scene. Hundreds of armored soldiers surrounded the mountain, using advanced energy weapons to blast through the sanctuary's defenses. Hovering above in a sleek command ship was presumably their leader, a tall figure whose power level stood out even from this distance. Hey! Goku shouted, letting his power flare deliberately. You looking for me? All activity stopped. The commander's ship turned, scanning devices locking onto Goku's position. A magnified voice boomed across the battlefield. Identify yourself, intruder. I'm Son Goku. I heard you've been looking for Kai artifacts. Well, here I am. A beam from the ship scanned him, and Goku could sense the surprise and excitement from within. Impossible, the voice said, now tinged with awe. The readings are off the charts. Capture him. Maximum priority. Soldiers began converging on Goku's position. He cracked his knuckles, that familiar pre-battle excitement bubbling up despite the dire situation. 100,000 years sealed away, and some things never changed. "All right then," he said, dropping into his fighting stance. "Let's see how strong I've become." The first wave reached him, 20 soldiers firing energy weapons simultaneously. Goku didn't dodge. He wanted to test his durability. The blasts hit him from all sides, creating a blinding explosion that engulfed the ridge. When the light faded, Goku stood unharmed in a circle of scorched earth. "My turn," he said, and disappeared. He reappeared in the midst of the soldiers, moving so fast that even he was surprised. One light punch sent a soldier flying hundreds of feet. A casual kick took out 5 more. Goku winced, trying to hold back even more. "Sorry. Still getting the hang of this power." Within seconds, 30 soldiers lay unconscious. The rest backed away, fear evident even through their helmets. The command ship opened fire with its main cannon, a blast that could level a city. Goku caught the energy beam in his bare hands, feeling it push him back several feet before he stabilized. "Whoa, that's got some kick to it," he exclaimed, genuinely impressed. Then he did something that should have been impossible. He began absorbing the energy, drawing it into his body until the beam dwindled to nothing. The divine power within him processed the attack, converting it to his own energy. "That's new," Goku said, looking at his glowing hands in surprise. Inside the command ship, Commander Tekka was shouting orders. "All troops, full retreat. Get me a direct line to Lord Vecna immediately. We've found something beyond our capabilities." The soldiers began a hasty withdrawal, many abandoning their equipment in their rush to escape. Goku let them go. He had no interest in pursuing enemies who were fleeing. As the command ship prepared to depart, Goku teleported directly onto its bridge, appearing before Commander Tekka, a tall, reptilian humanoid with cybernetic enhancements. "Before you go," Goku said casually, as if he hadn't just terrified an entire invasion force, "tell your boss that the memory keepers are under my protection now. If he sends forces here again, I won't be so nice." Commander Tekka, to his credit, maintained his composure despite obvious fear. "What are you?" "Just a guy who woke up from a really long nap," Goku replied with a grin. "And I'm still pretty grumpy about it." With that, he teleported back to the mountain entrance, where he found Nova and Master Roshi staring at him in disbelief. Behind them, many of the sanctuary residents had paused their evacuation to watch the one-sided battle. "They're leaving," Goku announced. "But they'll be back with reinforcements. Once they report to their leader. You should strengthen your defenses." Nova approached him slowly, her earlier skepticism replaced with cautious wonder. "That was impossible. You just defeated an entire elite squadron without breaking a sweat." "The legends didn't exaggerate his power," Master Roshi said quietly. "If anything, they understated it." Goku's stomach chose that moment to growl loudly. He rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "So, about that food I mentioned earlier." Master Roshi laughed, a warm, genuine sound that reminded Goku painfully of his old mentor. "Come, Goku. You've earned a feast." As they led him back inside, Goku sensed Nova studying him intently. "What?" he asked. "You're really him, aren't you? The actual Son Goku from the legends?" "Yep. Told you so. But you're different from the stories. They say you were a pure-hearted warrior who could transform into a golden-haired god." Goku nodded. "The Super Saiyan transformation. But something's changed. Supreme Kai's power must have altered me during the sealing." "Changed how, exactly?" Nova asked. Goku considered the question as they entered a large dining hall where people were already bringing out enormous quantities of food. The smells made his mouth water, but he focused on Nova's question. "I'm stronger, way stronger. But it's not just Saiyan power anymore. It feels divine. Like I've got a bit of godhood mixed in now." He looked at his hands, watching the faint purple energy pulse beneath his skin. And I think I'm connected to something bigger. During the fight, I could sense everything. The whole planet, the solar system, distant stars. It was overwhelming. Master Roshi nodded thoughtfully. The Supreme Kai's essence may have merged with yours during the long sealing. Such a thing has never happened before in recorded history. Great, Goku sighed. So I'm even more of a weirdo than before. Nova snorted. You defeated 100 elite soldiers without effort. Weirdo doesn't begin to cover it. Goku's attention had already shifted to the food being laid out. His eyes widened at the unfamiliar dishes. Is all that for me? We know of your legendary appetite, Master Roshi said with a smile. Though I fear even our stores may be insufficient. Goku didn't need further invitation. He fell upon the food with the enthusiasm that had always characterized his eating habits. Nova watched in disgusted fascination as he consumed enough to feed 50 people. Between mouthfuls, Goku asked questions. So, Nova, you fight like the Z-Warriors. Are you related to any of them? Nova hesitated, then nodded. According to our records, I'm descended from both Son Gohan and Vegeta's bloodlines, though so distantly it hardly matters now. Most humans have some genetic markers from the Z-Fighters. They were prolific after the Peace Era. That's why you can use Ki so well, Goku said, nodding. I recognized Gohan's defensive style. I trained here from childhood, Nova explained, warming slightly. The memory keepers preserve not just records, but the fighting techniques of the original defenders. So why were those guys after you earlier? Nova's expression darkened. I was returning from a recovery mission. There's an ancient artifact, supposedly connected to the Kais, hidden in a temple to the south. Vecna's forces have been searching for it. Did you find it? Nova reached into her pocket and produced a small crystal sphere that pulsed with energy similar to Goku's. The Tear of Worlds. Legend says it was created by the Supreme Kai before he helped seal you away. Goku leaned forward, suddenly serious. Can I see it? Hesitantly, Nova handed over the crystal. The moment it touched Goku's palm, it resonated, glowing brightly and rising slightly above his hand. Images flashed through Goku's mind, Supreme Kai creating the crystal, embedding it with memories, instructions. It's a key, Goku said, his voice distant. And a message. A key to what? Master Roshi asked. I don't know yet, Goku admitted, handing the crystal back to Nova. But Supreme Kai made this as part of a plan. There are other artifacts like it scattered across the universe. Together, they contain information he wanted preserved. That explains why Vecna wants them so badly, Nova said grimly. If they contain actual Kai knowledge. Goku nodded. We need to find the others before he does. We? Nova raised an eyebrow. Well, yeah. I need to figure out why I was released from the seal now, and what happened to the Void Maw. And you need help keeping these artifacts away from this Vecna guy. Makes sense to work together. Nova exchanged glances with Master Roshi, who nodded slightly. Fine, she said reluctantly. But you follow my lead. This isn't your world anymore, Goku. Things work differently now. Goku grinned. That's fine by me. I never was good at making plans anyway. Before Nova could respond, a young attendant rushed into the hall. Master Roshi. Our long-range sensors have detected multiple hyperspace jumps. Vecna's fleet is entering the system. Master Roshi stood quickly. How many ships? At least 50, Master. Including the Devastator. Nova's face paled. Vecna's flagship. He's coming personally. Goku stood, his expression serious for once. How long until they arrive? 3 hours at most, the attendant replied. That's not enough time to evacuate everyone and everything, Master Roshi said gravely. The archives alone would take days to relocate. Then we fight, Goku said simply. Nova shook her head. You don't understand. Vecna doesn't just have ships. He has planet killers. Weapons that can crack Earth in half. He'd rather destroy this world than let its secrets fall into enemy hands. Goku considered this. Then we need to take the fight to him. Away from Earth. And how exactly do we do that? Nova demanded. Goku smiled, an idea forming. We give him what he wants, me. Or at least, make him think he can get me. He turned to Master Roshi. Do you have a ship I can borrow? Something small but fast. The old master nodded slowly. We have scout vessels. But what are you planning? I'm going to lead them away from Earth. Make them chase me to somewhere we can fight without endangering innocent people. Nova crossed her arms. That's suicide. Even with your power, you can't take on an entire fleet. Maybe not, Goku admitted. But I can keep them busy while you evacuate the sanctuary. And besides. His eyes gleamed with excitement. I've been asleep for 100,000 years. I could use a good workout. Master Roshi studied him, then nodded. The old Scion spirit. The legend spoke truly. He turned to an attendant. Prepare the Phoenix Scout. Full armament. Nova stepped forward. I'm going with him. What? No, Goku protested. It'll be dangerous. She fixed him with a steely glare. You don't know how to fly a modern ship. You don't know the hyperspace routes. You don't even know what century it is. Face it, son Goku, you need me. Goku looked at her determined expression and recognized a familiar stubbornness that reminded him of Bulma and Chi-Chi combined. He sighed. Fine. But when the fighting starts, you stay back. Nova snorted. We'll see about that. 2 hours later, Goku and Nova sat in the cockpit of the Phoenix Scout, a sleek vessel barely large enough for 4 people. Nova expertly guided the ship out of the hidden hangar while Goku marveled at the technology. This thing doesn't even use fuel, he exclaimed, examining the crystal-based engine controls. Key crystal technology, Nova explained absently as she monitored the sensors. Developed about 40,000 years ago based on principles your friend Bulma pioneered. Goku smiled at that. Bulma always was the smartest person I knew. The ship accelerated away from Earth, heading toward the incoming fleet. Nova activated a cloaking device that seemed to bend light around the vessel. They won't detect us until we're right on top of them, she said. But what then? Your plan is to get them to chase us, but how? Goku grinned. Just get me close enough to Vecna's ship. I'll handle the rest. The journey took less than an hour. Soon, the sensors showed the massive fleet approaching, dozens of warships surrounding an enormous flagship easily 20 times the size of the others. The Devastator, Nova said quietly. Vecna's mobile throne. Rumor says he's enhanced it with stolen Kai artifacts. No one has ever breached its defenses. First time for everything, Goku replied cheerfully. Get as close as you can, then be ready to run. Nova skillfully maneuvered their small vessel through the fleet's outer perimeter, using debris and the larger ships for cover. Finally, they hovered less than a kilometer from the Devastator, a monstrosity of dark metal and pulsing energy weapons. Now what? Nova asked. Goku stood. Now I knock on the door. Before Nova could protest, Goku concentrated, allowing his divine-infused ki to build. The purple-white energy surrounded him, growing until it filled the small cockpit. What are you doing? Nova demanded, shielding her eyes from the brightness. Making sure they know I'm here, Goku replied. With a shout, he released his power in a controlled burst that penetrated the ship's hull and radiated outward. Even at this distance, every sensor on every ship in the fleet would detect the massive energy spike. On the Devastator, alarms immediately began blaring. There, Goku said, satisfied. Now we run. Nova didn't need to be told twice. She punched the engines to maximum, and the Phoenix Scout shot away from the flagship. Almost instantly, the comm system crackled to life. A deep, resonant voice filled the cockpit. Unknown vessel, this is Lord Vecna. The energy signature you are carrying is classified as a cosmic-level asset. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded, or be destroyed. Nova glanced at Goku, who nodded. She opened the channel. This is Phoenix Scout. We respectfully decline your invitation, Lord Vecna. If you want what we're carrying, you'll have to catch us. She cut the communication and pushed the engines harder. Behind them, the fleet began to move, changing course to pursue. It's working, she said, checking the sensors. The entire fleet is following. They're launching fighters too. Good, Goku said, watching the ships grow smaller in the rear viewport. Where are we heading? The dead zone, Nova replied. An asteroid field about 2 light-years from here. Dense enough to give us cover, empty enough that we don't endanger civilians. Goku nodded approvingly. Smart. How long until we get there? At maximum speed, about 6 hours. But those capital ships can't maintain pursuit that long. They'll have to. A flash of light interrupted her, and suddenly space ahead of them was filled with ships. Use hyperspace jumps to cut us off, she finished grimly. Can we go around them? Not without changing course back toward populated systems. Nova's hands flew over the controls. Hold on, this is going to get rough. She sent the scout into a series of evasive maneuvers as enemy fighters began closing in. Despite the ship's speed and Nova's skill, they were quickly surrounded. We need options, Nova said tensely as the first energy blast struck their shields. Goku concentrated, reaching out with his senses. There's a small moon about half a light-year to our right. Dense atmosphere, no signs of intelligent life. Nova looked at him in surprise. You can sense that far. Another new ability, he said with a shrug. Can we make it there? Nova checked the navigational systems. Yes, but we'd have to punch through that blockade first. Leave that to me. Goku moved to the airlock. Open this when I tell you. What? That's insane. We're in space. Trust me, Goku said, his expression confident. I've got this. Nova hesitated, then nodded. She positioned her hand over the airlock controls. Ready when you are. Goku concentrated, allowing the divine energy to flow through him, creating a protective barrier around his body. Now. Nova hit the control. The airlock opened, and Goku was pulled into the vacuum of space. Instead of dying instantly, he oriented himself and flew, toward the enemy fighters. Nova stared in disbelief through the viewport. Impossible. Goku streaked through space like a purple comet, smashing through fighters with his bare hands. Ships exploded in his wake as he tore through the blockade, creating a path for the scout vessel. Nova snapped out of her shock and sent the ship racing along the path Goku had cleared. After demolishing nearly 30 fighters, Goku teleported back into the ship's airlock. Nova sealed it and restored atmosphere, then stared at him as he re-entered the cockpit. You were in open space, without a suit. Yeah, that was new, Goku admitted, looking as surprised as she was. I figured the divine energy might protect me, but I didn't expect to be able to move so freely out there. What are you? Nova whispered. Goku shrugged. Not entirely sure anymore. But hey, it worked. Now let's get to that moon before they regroup. Nova shook off her shock and adjusted their course. The small scout ship accelerated away from the devastation Goku had left behind, heading toward the distant moon. Behind them, the main fleet continued pursuit, moving more cautiously now. The comm system crackled again. Interesting, Vecna's voice came through, sounding more intrigued than angry. You host more than just Kai energy. You are the sealed guardian himself, aren't you? Son Goku, returned after 100,000 years. Nova glanced at Goku, who nodded and took the calm, that's right. And I'm not interested in whatever you're planning, Vecna. Leave Earth and the memory keepers alone. A deep chuckle responded. After 100,000 years of imprisonment, you awaken only to find yourself alone in a universe that has forgotten you. How tragic. Vecna's voice turned smooth, persuasive. I could be an ally, Goku. Together, we could reshape this chaotic cosmos into something better. Your power combined with my vision. Not interested, Goku cut him off. I've heard offers like that before. They never end well. Consider carefully, Vecna replied, his tone hardening. You may be powerful, but you are alone. I command armies across 12 sectors. Planets fall at my word. What can one man, even one with divine power, hope to accomplish against such forces? Goku smiled grimly. You'd be surprised. I've saved the universe before. More than once. Then we shall see if the legend lives up to reality, Vecna said coldly. There is nowhere in this galaxy you can hide from me. The communication cut off. Nova glanced at Goku, worry evident in her expression. You just made an enemy of the most powerful warlord in the sector. Goku shrugged. Wouldn't be the first time I've angered someone with too much power and too little sense. Nova couldn't help a small smile at that. The legends did say you were recklessly confident. Not reckless, Goku corrected. Just experienced. I've faced worse than Vecna. I hope you're right, Nova muttered, checking their course. We'll reach the moon in about 4 hours. Vecna's main fleet won't be far behind. Good, Goku said, settling into his seat. That gives us time to plan. And maybe you can fill me in on more of what I've missed in the last 100,000 years. As Nova began explaining the major historical events since Goku's sealing, Goku found himself drawn to the crystal sphere Nova had recovered, the Tear of Worlds. It pulsed gently in its container, almost as if calling to him. Whatever Supreme Kai had planned, whatever reason the seal had broken now of all times, Goku knew one thing for certain, his long sleep was over, and the universe needed him once more. Chapter 2, Reclamation. The moon's atmosphere burned around their ship as Nova guided them through a rough descent. Purple lightning crackled against the shields, illuminating the cockpit in flashes that made Goku's transformed features look almost ghostly. Atmosphere's unstable, Nova grunted, fighting the controls. Some kind of electromagnetic storm layer. Sensors are going haywire. Goku peered through the viewport at the churning clouds. Good. Might scramble their tracking systems too. The Phoenix Scout broke through the storm layer, revealing a desolate landscape below, rocky plains stretching to distant mountains under a perpetually twilight sky. Nova brought them down in a narrow canyon where overhanging rock formations provided natural cover from orbital scans. We've got maybe 2 hours before Vecna's scouts find us, she said, powering down non-essential systems. What's the plan? Goku stretched, working out kinks from the long flight. First, we figure out our next move. That crystal you found, the Tear of Worlds, it's connected to something bigger. When I touched it, I saw flashes of other artifacts. And a name kept repeating. What name? Akar. Nova's eyes widened. Akar? You're sure? Yeah. You know who that is? She nodded slowly. Not who, what? Akar is a place. An ancient temple complex on Rigel 7. The memory keepers have records of it being a sanctuary for Kai knowledge before it was abandoned thousands of years ago. Goku brightened. That's our next stop then. If Supreme Kai left messages, that's where we'll find more answers. Not so fast, Nova cautioned. Rigel 7 is deep in Vecna's territory. Heavily guarded, restricted access. And there's a good chance Vecna already has forces at the temple if it contains Kai artifacts. So we'll need to be sneaky, Goku said, as if this solved everything. Nova stared at him. Sneaky? You? The guy who just challenged the most powerful warlord in the sector to a fight by broadcasting your energy signature across half the galaxy. Goku rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Okay, fair point. But we still need to get there. First we need to survive here, Nova reminded him, checking the sensors. Multiple ships entering the atmosphere. They're spreading out, starting search patterns. Goku closed his eyes, extending his senses. 17 ships. About 200 soldiers total. And his eyes snapped open, something else. Something powerful. Not Vecna, but someone strong. Really strong. Nova cursed under her breath. Probably one of his chosen, elite warriors enhanced with stolen divine energy. Vecna isn't taking any chances. Good, Goku said, and the eager gleam in his eyes made Nova sigh in exasperation. You actually want to fight them, don't you? Well, yeah. I've been sealed away for 100,000 years. I need to test my limits, see what I can do with this new power. Nova checked her weapons, a compact energy pistol and a short sword that hummed with key channeling technology. Fine. But remember, our primary goal is to escape, not showcase your abilities. Spoilsport, Goku muttered, but his grin took any sting from the words. They exited the ship and made their way to higher ground. From a ridge overlooking the valley, they could see search parties fanning out, using advanced scanning equipment. In the center of the search pattern hovered a larger vessel, its design distinct from the others. Command ship, Nova whispered. If their leader is as powerful as you sensed, that's where they'll be. Goku nodded, studying the situation. Okay, here's the plan. I'll create a distraction, something big enough to draw most of their forces. While they're focused on me, you get back to the ship and prepare for immediate launch. And then what? We just hope to outrun them again. Goku's eyes gleamed with mischief. Nope. I've got a better idea. But first things first, distraction time. Before Nova could protest, Goku leapt from the ridge, soaring into the air with casual disregard for gravity. He hovered high above the valley, allowing his power to flare visibly around him like a purple star. Hey, he shouted, his voice carrying unnaturally far. Looking for me? Well, here I am. Every scanner and weapon in the valley immediately locked onto his position. The command ship turned, its main cannon powering up with an ominous hum. Nova facepalmed but used the distraction to slip back toward their hidden ship. Goku grinned as energy weapons from a dozen different vessels fired simultaneously. He didn't dodge, instead raising one hand and creating a barrier of divine energy that absorbed the incoming attacks. My turn, he called cheerfully, and vanished. He reappeared beside the nearest scout ship, tapping its hull lightly. The vessel spun out of control, crashing into the rocky terrain below. Goku teleported again and again, disabling ships with casual touches that crumpled metal and shorted out systems. Troops on the ground fired wildly, their shots passing through afterimages as Goku moved too fast to track. He appeared in their midst, disarming soldiers with gentle flicks that nonetheless sent weapons flying kilometers away. Sorry, he said to a particularly startled group. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. Just need you guys to back off for a bit. A massive energy beam from the command ship lanced through the air where Goku had been a millisecond earlier. He reappeared directly above the vessel, whistling appreciatively. Now that's more like it. Let's see what you've really got. The ship's hull split open, revealing a humanoid figure that rose to meet him. Tall and lean, with skin like burnished gold and eyes that glowed with unnatural light, the being radiated power that made even Goku take notice. Son Goku, the figure spoke, its voice resonating oddly. I am Zenith, first of the chosen. Lord Vecna sends his regards. Goku studied his opponent with genuine interest. You're different from the others. Your energy signature feels altered. Artificial, but strong. Zenith smiled thinly. I am the pinnacle of Lord Vecna's vision, mortal flesh infused with harvested divine essence. A god created rather than born. Harvested divine essence. Goku's expression hardened. You mean you killed Kais and stole their power? The old order was weak and inefficient, Zenith replied dismissively. They squandered their gifts. We put them to better use. Goku's casual demeanor vanished, replaced by cold anger. I think it's time I showed you the difference between stolen power and the real thing. Zenith attacked without warning, moving with blinding speed. His fist connected with Goku's jaw in an impact that would have shattered mountains. Goku's head snapped back slightly, but he didn't move otherwise. That all you got? He asked quietly. Zenith's eyes widened in shock. He unleashed a flurry of attacks, each strike enhanced with stolen divine energy. Goku blocked or deflected each blow with minimal movement, his expression growing progressively more disappointed. You know, Goku said conversationally as he caught Zenith's fist in mid-strike, back in my day, we earned our power. Trained for it. Sacrificed for it. His grip tightened, forcing Zenith to his knees despite his struggles. What you have isn't real strength. It's just theft. With a casual flick, Goku sent Zenith crashing through his own command ship and into the ground below, creating a crater half a kilometer wide. The Golden Warrior struggled to rise, his artificial perfection now marred by cracks that leaked golden light. Impossible, Zenith gasped. I have the essence of 3 Supreme Kais within me. And I was sealed with the Supreme Kai himself for 100,000 years, Goku replied, landing softly beside the crater. You can't shortcut true power. Zenith snarled and gathered his energy for one desperate attack, a sphere of golden destruction that swelled between his hands until it dwarfed the broken command ship behind him. Die, relic, he screamed, hurling the attack. Goku didn't move. The golden sphere struck him directly, and then something extraordinary happened. The energy didn't explode or dissipate against Goku's defenses. Instead, it seemed to flow into him, absorbed completely as purple light briefly overwhelmed gold. When the light faded, Goku stood unchanged, while Zenith collapsed to his knees, his golden skin dulling to bronze. How? The Chosen whispered. Goku looked at his hands in surprise. I think, the divine energy in me recognizes its own kind. Even stolen power returns to its source eventually. He approached the fallen warrior, his expression softening slightly. I don't want to kill you. Tell Vecna to back off. Tell him that what he's doing, harvesting divine essence, it's destabilizing the cosmic balance. Zenith laughed bitterly. Lord Vecna knows exactly what he's doing. The balance you speak of, it's already broken. Has been for millennia. He looked up at Goku, his eyes dimming. You've slept too long, Guardian. The universe isn't what you remember. Before Goku could respond, Nova's voice came through the communicator at his wrist. Goku. Ship's ready for launch, but we've got company incoming. Massive energy signatures entering the atmosphere. Looks like Vecna's getting serious. On my way, Goku replied. He gave Zenith one last look. Consider this a warning. Next time won't end so well. He teleported back to the Phoenix Scout, where Nova was frantically preparing for launch. What happened out there? She demanded. The scanners went crazy when you absorbed that energy blast. Tell you later, Goku said, strapping into the co-pilot seat. Let's get out of here first. Nova engaged the engines, and the ship rocketed out of the canyon just as larger warships began appearing in the twilight sky. We'll never outrun those capital ships, she said grimly. And they've established a blockade in orbit. We don't need to outrun them, Goku replied with a confident smile. Just get us into space. I've got an idea. Nova gave him a skeptical look but pushed the engines to maximum. The small scout ship screamed through the atmosphere, dodging energy blasts from the pursuing vessels. As they broke into space, they were met by the imposing sight of Vecna's main fleet arranged in a blockade formation. "Now what, genius?" Nova asked as warning signals blared throughout the cockpit. "We're surrounded. Remember how I absorbed Zenith's energy attack?" Goku said, unbuckling his restraints. "I think I can do something similar on a larger scale. Get us as close to the flagship as possible." "That's suicide." "Trust me," Goku said, and something in his voice, a quiet confidence born of countless battles, made Nova nod reluctantly. She adjusted course, diving the scout ship directly toward the center of the blockade where Vecna's enormous flagship waited. Alarms screamed as targeting systems locked onto them from all directions. "Whatever you're going to do it fast," Nova shouted as the first energy blast splashed against their failing shields. Goku closed his eyes, concentrating. The divine energy within him responded eagerly, flowing through his body and expanding outward. The cockpit filled with purple-white light so intense that Nova had to shield her eyes. "What are you?" "Instant transmission," Goku interrupted, placing his hand on her shoulder. "But supercharged." The light intensified until it engulfed the entire ship. For a moment, Nova felt a sensation of moving everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, like being stretched across the fabric of the universe itself. Then, abruptly, the light faded. The alarms fell silent. The viewports showed not Vecna's fleet, but an unfamiliar star system with a blue-green planet dominating the view. "What?" Nova checked the navigational systems in disbelief. This is the Rigel system. We're in orbit around Rigel 7. She turned to stare at Goku. "That's a jump of over 50 light-years. How did you?" "Instant transmission with a boost from divine energy," Goku explained, though he looked as surprised as she did. "I've always been able to teleport by locking onto key signatures, but with Supreme Kai's power added to mine." He grinned. "Guess there are some perks to being sealed away for 100,000 years. Nova shook her head in amazement. "You just keep pulling new tricks out of nowhere, don't you?" "Honestly, I'm figuring this out as I go," Goku admitted. "The divine energy responds differently than my normal ki. It's like it has its own, I don't know, awareness." "Great," Nova muttered. "A Scion legend with semi-sentient god powers. What could possibly go wrong?" Goku laughed, but his expression quickly turned serious as he studied the planet below. "I can sense a lot of key signatures down there. Most are ordinary, but there are some powerful ones too. And something else." He frowned, concentrating. "Something familiar. Vecna has a major presence here," Nova explained, bringing up planetary data on the main screen. "Rigel 7 is one of his primary bases of operation. The temple complex of Akar is in the northern hemisphere, in a region they call the Forgotten Valley." "Then that's where we're heading," Goku said decisively. "Can you get us down there without being detected?" Nova studied the scanner readings. "Maybe. There's a heavy cloud system over the valley right now. If we time it right, we might slip past their orbital defenses during the next sensor sweep cycle." "Do it." Nova skillfully guided the scout ship into a stealth approach, timing their descent to coincide with gaps in the security grid. They plunged into the planet's atmosphere, using the thick cloud cover for additional concealment. As they broke through the lower cloud layer, Goku's breath caught. Below them stretched a vast valley surrounded by snow-capped mountains. In the center rose a massive structure that could only be the temple complex, a sprawling arrangement of buildings and towers constructed from a material that seemed to glow with inner light even from this distance. "Akar," Nova said quietly. "One of the last true Kai sanctuaries in the known universe." But the temple's pristine beauty was marred by modern additions, defense towers, landing pads, and the unmistakable signs of military occupation. Armed ships patrolled the perimeter, and barracks had been erected among the sacred buildings. Vecna's forces, Goku observed grimly. They've turned it into a base. Nova nodded, bringing the scout ship down in a dense forest several kilometers from the temple. We'll have to approach on foot. Less chance of being detected that way. They landed in a small clearing, concealing the ship with camouflage netting before gathering essential supplies. Nova equipped herself with her weapons and a backpack containing food, water, and survival gear. Goku, characteristically, wanted nothing except the food. We should eat before we go, he suggested, already reaching for the rations. Nova sighed but didn't argue. She'd quickly learned that arguing with Goku about food was pointless. While he ate enough for 10 people, she pulled up a holographic map of the temple complex. According to Memory Keeper records, the main sanctuary is here, she pointed to the central structure. If there are answers about your sealing or these artifacts, that's where we'll find them. Goku nodded, finishing the last of the rations. What about civilian population? I'm sensing thousands of people near the temple. Locals, Nova confirmed. Native Rigelians. They've been under Vecna's control for nearly a century. Forced labor, mainly, maintaining the temple and serving his forces. Goku's expression hardened. So he's not just stealing artifacts. He's enslaving people too. That's Vecna's way. He believes in the natural order, the strong ruling the weak. Nova's voice held bitter personal knowledge. Most inhabited worlds in this sector have similar arrangements. Few resist anymore. Well, that changes now, Goku said firmly. Let's get moving. They set out through the forest, moving quickly but cautiously. Nova led the way, familiar with stealth operations from her time with the Memory Keepers. Goku followed, suppressing his energy signature to avoid detection, a skill he'd mastered long ago, now complicated by the divine energy that occasionally pulsed visibly beneath his skin. As they neared the edge of the forest, the temple complex came into clearer view. Up close, it was even more impressive, and the occupation more disturbing. Rigelians, tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin, worked under the watchful eyes of armed guards. Many bore visible injuries or moved with the slow weariness of the chronically underfed. This is wrong, Goku muttered, watching as a guard struck an elderly Rigelian who had paused to rest. Nova put a restraining hand on his arm. Focus, Goku. We can't help everyone right now. The information in that temple might be the key to stopping Vecna permanently. Goku nodded reluctantly. You're right. But I don't like it. They circled around to the northern side of the complex where security appeared lighter. Nova studied the patrol patterns through binoculars. There's our opening. The guard rotation leaves a 30-second gap every 15 minutes. If we time it right, we can slip in through that maintenance entrance. Or, Goku suggested, I could just teleport us inside. Nova looked at him in surprise, then smiled sheepishly. Right. Still getting used to your abilities. Can't blame you. I'm still figuring them out myself. Nova showed him detailed schematics of the central sanctuary. If you can get us in here, we'll avoid most of the patrols. Goku studied the images, then nodded. I think I can lock onto the energy signature of the building itself. The Kai architecture has a distinct feel to it. He placed his hand on Nova's shoulder and concentrated. The familiar sensation of instant transmission enveloped them, but with an added dimension of awareness that Goku was still getting used to. It was as if the universe opened itself to him more completely than ever before. They rematerialized in a vast circular chamber deep within the central sanctuary. Soft blue light emanated from the walls themselves, illuminating elaborate murals that covered every surface. The air felt charged with ancient power, untouched even by Vecna's occupation. Whoa, Goku breathed, turning slowly to take in their surroundings. This place feels like home, somehow. Nova was already examining the murals with professional interest. These depict the history of the Kais. Creation myths, cosmic wars, the establishment of the universal order. She moved along the circular wall, her expression growing more focused. Wait. This section is newer. And these figures. She pointed to a familiar spiky-haired silhouette. Goku, this is you. Goku joined her, studying the intricate images with growing wonder. The murals told a story, his story. His arrival on Earth as an infant. His early adventures. His battles against increasingly powerful foes. And finally. The Void Maw, he said quietly, staring at the depiction of a monstrous entity of absolute darkness, spreading across galaxies like a cancer. The mural showed Goku facing the entity alongside Supreme Kai, both channeling energy into a complex sealing ritual. The next panel depicted Goku encased in a crystal prison, Supreme Kai transferring his own essence into the seal. So that's how it happened, Goku murmured. I remember fighting the Void Maw, but the actual sealing is just a blur. Nova pointed to the final panel, which showed 7 crystal spheres, identical to the tier of worlds she carried, arranged in a circle. Look. The artifacts. 7 of them, scattered across the universe. A key and a message, Goku recalled. But a key to what? Before Nova could respond, a new voice spoke from behind them, melodious yet ancient. A key to understanding. A key to power. A key to prevention. They spun around. In the center of the chamber stood a rig alien unlike the others they had seen. Taller, with skin that shimmered with inner light, and eyes that held wisdom beyond mortal comprehension. Who are you? Nova demanded, her hand moving instinctively to her weapon. The being smiled. I have been waiting for you, son Goku. I am the keeper of Akar, though your friend might know me better as Akar itself. Goku's eyes widened in recognition. You're the presence I sensed from orbit. You're connected to Supreme Kai somehow. Perceptive, the being nodded. I am a construct, a living repository of knowledge created by the Supreme Kai before your sealing. My purpose is to guide you when you finally awoke. Then you know why the seal broke now? Goku asked eagerly. And what happened to the Void Maw? All in due time, Akar replied. But first, we must move to safety. Vecna's forces have detected your energy signature, subtle though you tried to be. They approach even now. As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the complex. Nova cursed under her breath. Can you take us somewhere secure? She asked Akar. Follow me, the being said, moving toward a previously invisible doorway that appeared in the chamber wall. There are passages beneath the temple that even Vecna's forces have not discovered. They hurried after Akar, descending a spiraling staircase that seemed to be formed from solid light rather than physical material. As they went deeper, the alarms faded, replaced by a profound silence that felt almost alive. This place is shielded from detection, Akar explained. The ancient Kais created it as a sanctuary of last resort. The staircase opened into a smaller chamber that, unlike the grand sanctuary above, was utilitarian and focused. A circular table occupied the center, surrounded by 7 alcoves set into the walls. The Chamber of Echoes, Akar said. Here, the barriers between dimensions are thinnest. Here, we can speak freely. Goku approached the table. Noticing 7 indentations that seemed sized perfectly for the crystal artifacts. Nova produced the tier of worlds from her pack, and it hummed with energy in proximity to its intended place. The 7 tiers, Akar confirmed. Created by Supreme Kai as vessels for fragmented knowledge, too dangerous to be contained in a single artifact. Fragmented knowledge of what? Nova asked. Of everything, Akar replied simply. The true nature of the Void Maw. The consequences of your sealing, Goku. And the reason you have awakened now, of all times. Goku placed his hands flat on the table, determination in his eyes. Tell me. Akar gestured for Nova to place the crystal in its indentation. She did so, and immediately the artifact began to glow, projecting images above the table, clearer and more detailed than those in the murals above. The Void Maw was not merely a creature, Akar explained as the images showed the dark entity consuming entire galaxies. It was a cosmic correction, a response to fundamental imbalance in the universe. Imbalance? Goku frowned. What kind of imbalance? Between creation and destruction, Akar said. Between mortal and divine. Between life and death. For eons, the Kais maintained these balances, ensuring cosmic harmony. But as their numbers dwindled, as mortals grew more powerful, as boundaries between realms blurred, the being gestured to the images of chaos spreading across the universe. The scales tipped too far. And the Void Maw was the universe's way of resetting the balance, Nova concluded, her scientific mind grasping the concept quickly. Precisely. But Supreme Kai recognized that such a reset would mean the extinction of all life as you knew it. Akar looked at Goku with something like reverence. So he proposed an alternative. Instead of allowing the Void Maw to consume everything, he would create a new balance, a living seal that would contain the cosmic correction while simultaneously embodying the very balance it sought to restore. The projection showed Supreme Kai transferring his essence into Goku during the sealing. You became more than a prison for the Void Maw, Goku, Akar continued. You became a new linchpin of cosmic balance. Divine and mortal, creation and destruction, perfectly unified in one being. Goku looked down at his hands, watching the purple energy pulse beneath his skin with new understanding. So this power isn't just Supreme Kai's energy. It's balance itself? Yes. And for 100,000 years, your sealed form maintained that balance, allowing the universe to heal and restructure itself. Then why am I awake now? Goku asked the crucial question. Why did the seal break? Akar's expression grew grave. Because the balance is threatened once more. Not by natural causes this time, but by deliberate action. The being waved a hand, and the projection changed to show Vecna and his forces harvesting energy from captive lesser deities. Lord Vecna seeks to become what you are, Goku, a being of perfect balance, with power over cosmic forces. But his method is flawed, destructive. He takes rather than harmonizes. And his actions risk awakening the Void Maw once more. That's why Vecna wants me, Goku realized. Not just for my power, but because I'm the key to his plan. You are what he aspires to become, Akar confirmed. And the crystal artifacts contain the knowledge he needs to achieve his goal, the secrets of Supreme Kai's final working. Nova looked troubled. If he gets all 7 artifacts, then he could potentially extract the Void Maw from Goku, absorb both it and the divine essence, and ascend to a level of power no being was meant to wield, Akar finished grimly. The implications hung heavily in the air. Finally, Goku straightened, his expression determined. Then we need to find the other artifacts before Vecna does. And I need to learn how to properly use this power. He looked at Akar hopefully. Can you teach me? The ancient being smiled. That is why I exist, son Goku. But our time is limited. Even as we speak, Vecna's forces search the temple. And Akar paused, head tilted as if listening to something beyond mortal perception. It seems Lord Vecna himself has arrived. Nova tensed. Here. Now. Your presence has drawn him personally. He has been waiting millennia for this moment. Goku nodded decisively. Good. I'd rather face him directly than keep playing this cat-and-mouse game. Goku, no. Nova protested. You don't understand how powerful he's become. Even with your abilities, facing him here, surrounded by his forces. We don't have to win, Goku pointed out. We just need to get what we came for and escape. Akar, is there anything else in this temple we need? Any other artifacts or information? The being considered. The knowledge contained in the main sanctuary, the murals you saw, it is valuable. And there is another crystal artifact hidden in my personal chambers. The second tier. Then we get the second tier and any information we can, then leave, Goku decided. Nova, you and Akar retrieve the crystal. I'll create a distraction and meet you back at the ship. Absolutely not, Nova argued. We're not splitting up. If Vecna captures any of us, he won't, Goku said with quiet confidence. Trust me, Nova. I've been doing this kind of thing since before your ancestors were born. Nova looked like she wanted to argue further, but Akar placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. He speaks wisdom. And time grows short. Come, I will show you where the second tier is hidden. Reluctantly, Nova nodded. Fine. But be careful, Goku. Don't underestimate Vecna. Goku grinned, that familiar pre-battle excitement lighting his eyes. I never underestimate anyone. That's why I'm still here after all these years. They ascended from the hidden chamber by different routes, Akar leading Nova through secret passages while Goku returned directly to the main sanctuary. As he emerged, he immediately sensed numerous powerful energy signatures converging on the temple. Might as well make this obvious, he muttered to himself, and released his power restraint. Divine energy exploded around him, a pillar of purple-white light that shot through the temple roof and into the sky above. The force of it cracked the ancient stone floors and sent reverberations throughout the complex. Within seconds, alarms blared and troops rushed toward his position. Goku stood calmly in the center of the sanctuary, arms crossed, waiting. He didn't have to wait long. The massive doors flew open, and soldiers poured in, weapons trained on him. They formed a perimeter, tense but not firing, clearly under orders to capture rather than kill. Behind them came a figure that made Goku's eyes narrow. Lord Vecna was tall and imposing, with midnight blue skin and eyes like molten gold. He wore armor that seemed to shift between solid and liquid states, flowing with his movements while radiating obvious power. But most disturbing was his aura, a chaotic mixture of divine energies that Goku recognized as harvested from multiple sources. Son Goku, Vecna's voice was deep and melodious, almost hypnotic. The Sealed Guardian. After all this time, we finally meet. Goku studied him carefully. You've been busy while I was away. Stealing power that doesn't belong to you. Vecna smiled, spreading his arms in a gesture of apparent openness. Is it theft to claim what others have abandoned? The Kais diminished of their own accord, retreating from their responsibilities. I merely repurposed their legacy. By enslaving worlds and harvesting divine essence, Goku replied coldly. Yeah, I've seen your handiwork. A necessary transition phase, Vecna said dismissively. Once I achieve perfect harmony, suffering will end. A new cosmic order will emerge, stable, eternal. Heard that one before, Goku said, unimpressed. Usually from guys who just want power for themselves. Vecna's expression hardened slightly. I am not like your previous adversaries, Goku. I don't seek destruction or chaos. I seek perfect balance, the very thing you embodied during your long sleep. There's nothing balanced about what you're doing, Goku countered. True balance comes from harmony, not control. From choice, not subjugation. Pretty words from a relic, Vecna sneered, his pleasant facade slipping. You've been sealed away for 100,000 years. You know nothing of the current state of the cosmos. He took a step forward, his aura intensifying. The universe is dying, Goku. Slowly, inevitably, entropy increases. The divine order established by the Kais was always temporary, always flawed. I offer something better, a new order, personally maintained through direct intervention. With you as its god? Goku asked skeptically. With me as its guardian, Vecna corrected. As you were, but conscious and active rather than sealed away in slumber. Goku shook his head. Not interested in your job offer. I've already got a purpose, stopping you from destabilizing everything. Vecna sighed dramatically. I had hoped for your cooperation. Your willing participation would make the transition smoother. His eyes hardened. But I will proceed with or without your consent. He raised his hand, and energy crackled between his fingers, a disturbing mixture of stolen divine power. Last chance, Goku. Join me willingly, or I extract what I need by force. Goku dropped into his fighting stance, divine energy swirling around him. You're welcome to try. Vecna attacked with frightening speed, crossing the distance between them in a heartbeat. His first strike carried the combined power of multiple divine essences, hitting Goku with force that would have obliterated planets. Goku blocked the blow, the impact creating a shockwave that shattered every window in the sanctuary and sent Vecna's soldiers flying against the walls. The two powerful beings stood locked in that position, neither giving ground. Impressive, Vecna acknowledged. The legends of your strength were not exaggerated. I was just thinking the same about you, Goku admitted. You're stronger than I expected. They separated and began circling each other, divine energies clashing where they met. Vecna launched a series of energy attacks, golden spheres that twisted and distorted space itself. Goku dodged some and deflected others, responding with precisely aimed ki blasts of his own. The battle quickly escalated, moving faster than ordinary eyes could track. They became blurs of light, gold and purple, crashing together with impacts that threatened the structural integrity of the ancient temple. We need to take this outside, Goku called during a brief pause. Before we bring the whole place down. Concerned for architecture at a time like this? Vecna mocked, but nodded in agreement. Very well. Both fighters shot upward, crashing through the temple roof into the open sky above. The battle continued there, energy attacks lighting up the atmosphere like competing lightning storms. Meanwhile, Nova followed Akar through hidden passages, wincing as the entire structure shook with the force of the battle above. Will the temple withstand their power? She asked worriedly. The outer structures may suffer, Akar replied, but the core was built by the Kais themselves. It will endure. They reached a small, unadorned chamber deep within the temple complex. Akar placed his hand on what appeared to be a solid wall, and a section dissolved, revealing a hidden compartment containing another crystal sphere, identical to the first tear but pulsing with different colored energy. The Tear of Memory, Akar explained, carefully retrieving the artifact. It contains the history of the Void Maw and Supreme Kai's understanding of cosmic balance. Nova secured the crystal in her pack alongside the first. What about the knowledge in the murals? You said that was important too. Already preserved, Akar tapped his own temple. I am a living repository, remember? Everything depicted there is contained within me. A particularly violent tremor shook the chamber, causing dust to rain down from the ceiling. We need to go, Nova urged. Goku can't hold Vecna off forever. Akar nodded. There is an exit tunnel that leads to the forest. From there, we can reach your ship. As they hurried through the passage, Nova activated her communicator. Goku. We've got the second tier. Heading to the ship now. Above the temple, Goku heard Nova's message while dodging another of Vecna's attacks. The warlord was formidable, perhaps the strongest opponent Goku had faced since his awakening. But Goku wasn't fighting at full capacity either, still learning the limits of his transformed state. Time to wrap this up, he muttered to himself. He allowed Vecna to land a powerful blow, one that sent him crashing into the mountainside adjacent to the temple. As expected, Vecna followed up immediately, pressing his advantage with a barrage of energy attacks that carved deep furrows in the mountain. Is this all the legendary Goku has to offer? Vecna taunted, hovering above the impact site. Disappointing. Perhaps 100,000 years of inactivity has dulled your edge. The smoke cleared to reveal Goku standing unharmed, though his tattered gi had finally disintegrated completely from the upper body, revealing a physique etched with faint lines of purple energy that pulsed in time with his heartbeat. Actually, Goku said calmly, I was just getting warmed up. And figuring out your fighting style. Vecna's eyes narrowed. What? You rely too much on raw power, Goku explained, as if offering advice to a student rather than battling a cosmic tyrant. All those divine essences you've stolen, they don't work together naturally. They compete with each other, creating inefficiencies in your energy flow. Vecna's expression darkened with rage. How dare you lecture me, you obsolete, his words cut off as Goku suddenly appeared directly before him, moving with speed that even Vecna's enhanced senses couldn't track. Lesson 1, Goku said, landing a precise strike to Vecna's solar plexus that folded the warlord in half. True power isn't about how much energy you have. Another lightning-fast blow sent Vecna spinning through the air. It's about how efficiently you use it. Vecna recovered quickly, his stolen divine essence healing the damage almost instantly. He snarled and gathered his power for a devastating attack, a technique he'd extracted from a dying Kai years before. Divine Sundering, he roared, releasing a blast of golden energy that split into hundreds of seeking projectiles. Instead of dodging or blocking, Goku stood his ground, extending his hands. The divine energy within him responded to his will, creating a swirling vortex that drew in Vecna's attack, not just neutralizing it but absorbing its power. That's the difference between us, Goku said as the last of the energy flowed into him. Your stolen power fights itself. Mine works in harmony. Vecna's confidence visibly faltered for the first time. What are you? I'm still figuring that out, Goku admitted. But I know what I'm not, a thief of power that doesn't belong to me. He gathered his energy for a counterattack, but before he could release it, his communicator crackled with Nova's urgent voice. Goku. We're under attack at the ship. Vecna's elites, they must have tracked us. Akar is, the communication cut off abruptly. Goku's eyes widened in alarm. Vecna laughed, his confidence returning. It seems my forces have found your companions. The living repository and the last memory keeper. How convenient. Goku's expression hardened. This isn't over, Vecna. Oh, I think it is, the warlord replied smugly. You care too much for these lesser beings. It's your weakness, as it was always the weakness of the Kais. Go on, save your friends if you can. But know that I will find you again. And next time, I will be prepared for your particular abilities. Much as he hated to admit it, Vecna was right. Nova and Akar were in danger, and they had the crystal artifacts that couldn't fall into Vecna's hands. Without another word, Goku used instant transmission, locking onto Nova's energy signature and teleporting directly to her location. He materialized in the midst of chaos. Their ship was surrounded by elite troops led by none other than Zenith, who had apparently recovered from their previous encounter. Nova fought fiercely, her energy sword cutting through armor and weapons alike, but she was clearly outnumbered and tiring. Akar stood in the center of a protective barrier of his own creation, but the shield was weakening under sustained attack. Goku! Nova shouted when she saw him appear. They were waiting for us. Goku didn't waste time responding. He moved into action immediately, disarming and disabling soldiers with efficient strikes. Unlike his confrontation with Vecna, he held nothing back here, his divine enhanced speed allowing him to clear half the attacking force in seconds. Zenith, recognizing the immediate threat, abandoned his attack on Akar to engage Goku directly. The Golden Warrior had clearly been enhanced further since their last encounter, his power nearly doubled through some emergency procedure. Lord Vecna anticipated your attachment to these creatures, Zenith gloated as their forearms clashed in a blocked strike. So predictable. You know what else is predictable? Goku replied, his voice calm despite the situation. How this fight's going to end. He delivered a devastating combination of strikes that shattered Zenith's enhanced defenses and sent the Golden Warrior crashing through several trees. Unlike their previous encounter, Goku didn't hold back, following up with a concentrated blast of divine-infused ki that left Zenith embedded in the ground, his artificial golden skin cracked and leaking light. Stay down, Goku advised, turning back toward the ship where the remaining troops were retreating in disarray. Nova had used the distraction to reach the ship, powering up its weapon systems and providing covering fire. Akar, however, remained outside, his barrier finally failing as he collapsed to one knee. Goku rushed to the ancient being's side. "Are you hurt?" "Not physically," Akar assured him. "But maintaining the barrier against weapons designed to disrupt divine energy, it has drained me." Goku helped him toward the ship as Nova cleared the last of the attackers with precise shots from the vessel's cannons. "We need to leave," Nova called from the open hatch. "More troops are incoming, and Vecna can't be far behind." They boarded quickly, Nova immediately launching the ship into the sky while Goku helped Akar to a seat in the small cabin area. "The tears?" Goku asked urgently. Nova patted her pack. "Safe. But they almost weren't. This was too close, Goku." Goku nodded grimly as he strapped himself into the co-pilot seat. "Vecna's stronger than I expected. And smarter too. He used our rescue mission as a distraction to track your movement." "A calculated risk," Akar said weakly from behind them. "But a necessary one. We have 2 of the 7 tiers now. Each contains crucial knowledge." As Nova piloted them into orbit, alarms blared. Multiple ships were rising in pursuit, and long-range scanners showed Vecna's main fleet entering the system. "We can't outrun them," Nova said tensely. "Not all of them. And we can't jump to hyperspace until we're clear of the gravity well." Goku considered their options. "I could try another long-range teleport, but I'm not sure if I can take the whole ship again so soon. That took a lot out of me." "Then we fight our way out," Nova decided, her hands flying over the controls. "Hang on." She executed a series of evasive maneuvers as the first enemy ships came within firing range. The Phoenix Scout shuddered under impact as several blasts struck their shields. "Shields at 60%. Nova reported. "We need options." Akar struggled to his feet, moving to stand between the pilot seats. "There is another way," he said, his voice stronger now. "A way that may save us and teach Goku to better harness his divine energy simultaneously." "I'm listening," Goku said, deflecting an energy blast that had penetrated their weakening shields. "The divine essence within you resonates with similar energies," Akar explained quickly. "Including the tiers. If you can attune yourself to their frequency, you might be able to create a hyperspace window without needing to clear the gravity well first." "How?" Goku asked. "I don't know anything about hyperspace technology." "You don't need to," Akar placed a hand on Goku's shoulder. "The knowledge is in the tiers, and by extension, in me. I can guide you, but you must provide the power." Another hit rocked the ship violently. "Shields at 30%. Nova shouted. "Whatever you're doing, do it fast." Akar retrieved the tiers from Nova's pack, placing them in Goku's hands. "Focus on the crystals. Feel their resonance with your own energy. I will direct the flow." Goku nodded and closed his eyes, concentrating on the pulsing crystals. Their energy felt familiar, similar to the power flowing through his own body. As Akar placed his hands over Goku's, he felt a connection forming, a bridge between his raw power and the ancient knowledge contained in the artifacts. "Now," Akar instructed, "visualize the energy expanding outward, creating a tear in spacetime. Not like your instant transmission, broader, more stable." Goku followed the guidance, allowing his divine energy to flow through the crystals and into the space ahead of their ship. It was different from teleportation, less precise but more expansive. He felt the fabric of reality stretching, thinning, and then... "There!" Nova exclaimed. "A hyperspace window. Right in the middle of the gravity well." Through the viewport, Goku saw a swirling vortex of energy materializing directly in their path, a phenomenon that apparently shocked their pursuers as much as it impressed Nova, as the enemy ships broke off their attack momentarily. "Go!" Goku urged, straining to maintain the window as sweat beaded on his forehead. I don't know how long I can hold this. Nova didn't need to be told twice. She gunned the engines, sending their ship hurtling into the hyperspace window. The moment they passed through, Goku released his concentration, collapsing back into his seat as exhaustion hit him. The chaotic energies of hyperspace enveloped them, carrying them far from Vecna's forces. Nova checked the navigational systems, her expression a mixture of awe and concern. It worked. We're in hyperspace, completely bypassing normal entry protocols. She glanced at Goku. Are you okay? That looked intense. Goku nodded weakly. Just tired. That was different from anything I've done before. Akar smiled, looking pleased despite his own fatigue. You're learning to channel the divine energy for more than just combat. This is important progress. Where are we heading? Goku asked, looking to Nova. She considered their options. We need somewhere safe to regroup. Somewhere Vecna won't immediately look. After a moment's thought, she set coordinates. I know a place. An old memory keeper outpost in the Cygnus Rift. It's been abandoned for centuries, officially, it doesn't exist. Sounds perfect, Goku approved. He turned to Akar. While we travel, you can tell us what's in these tiers. And maybe help me understand this power better. The ancient being nodded. That is why I exist, son Goku. To guide you in fulfilling your destiny. My destiny, Goku repeated thoughtfully. You know, I've never been big on destiny. I just do what needs doing. Akar smiled. Perhaps that is precisely your destiny. The journey through hyperspace would take several hours, even with their unconventional entry method. Nova set the autopilot and joined Goku and Akar in the ship's small common area. Food was prepared, Goku consuming his usual enormous portion to recover his energy, and they settled in for what promised to be an illuminating discussion. Akar placed the two tiers on the table between them, where they pulsed with inner light. The tier of worlds contains knowledge of the cosmic structure, how the various realms and dimensions intersect and influence each other. The tier of memory holds the history of the Void Maw and Supreme Kai's understanding of balance. And the other 5? Nova asked. The tier of life, the tier of death, the tier of time, the tier of space, and the tier of essence, Akar listed. Each contains a vital aspect of Supreme Kai's final working, the ritual that sealed Goku and the Void Maw together. So if Vecna gets all 7. Goku began. He could potentially reverse the process, Akar confirmed grimly. Extracting the Void Maw from you and attempting to control it himself. That would be bad, Goku said, with characteristic understatement. It would be the end of everything, Akar corrected. The Void Maw cannot be controlled, only contained. Vecna's hubris blinds him to this truth. Nova leaned forward, practical as always. Do you know where the other tiers are? Akar nodded slowly. I have general knowledge of their locations, though much may have changed in the centuries since I last had contact with my counterparts guarding them. Your counterparts? Goku asked. I am not the only construct created by Supreme Kai, Akar explained. There are others, each tasked with guarding a tier and the knowledge it contains. We were designed to work together, to train and guide you when you eventually awoke. So we find these other constructs, collect the tiers, and, then what? Nova questioned. Akar's expression grew solemn. Then Goku must make a choice. The seal was always meant to be temporary, 100,000 years to allow the universe to rebalance itself. Now that time has passed, he must decide whether to renew the seal, continuing his role as the living embodiment of cosmic balance, or to complete Supreme Kai's final plan. Which is? Goku prompted when Akar paused. To establish a new paradigm of balance, one that doesn't rely on a single being's sacrifice. Akar looked directly at Goku. But such a transformation would require tremendous power and perfect control of your divine essence. Hence the need for training. Goku nodded thoughtfully. So that's why you want to teach me to use this power better. Not just to fight Vecna, but for whatever comes after. Precisely. Nova looked between them. How long will this training take? We don't exactly have a lot of time with Vecna hunting us. The training begins now, Akar said simply. He gestured to the tears. Goku, place your hands on the crystals again. But this time, instead of projecting energy outward, draw their knowledge inward. Goku did as instructed, laying his palms atop the glowing spheres. Immediately, he felt a connection forming, not just to the artifacts themselves, but to the ancient wisdom they contained. Open yourself to the knowledge, Akar guided. Don't try to understand it all at once. Let it flow through you, integrating gradually with your consciousness. Images and concepts flooded Goku's mind, the intricate structure of reality, the delicate balance between cosmic forces, the true nature of the Void Maw as both destroyer and renewer. It was overwhelming yet somehow familiar, as if he'd carried these truths within him during his long sleep. Whoa, he breathed as Akar finally instructed him to break contact. That was intense. Like downloading an entire library directly into my brain. Your divine essence allows you to process information beyond normal mortal capacity, Akar explained. With practice, you'll be able to access and apply this knowledge instinctively. Will this help him against Vecna? Nova asked pragmatically. Akar nodded. Knowledge of cosmic forces is power in itself. But more importantly, it will help Goku understand and control his own abilities better. The ship's proximity alarm suddenly blared, startling all three of them. What now? Goku asked as Nova rushed to the cockpit. She checked the sensors, her expression puzzled. Something's disrupting our hyperspace corridor. We're being forced back into normal space. Vecna? Goku suggested, joining her at the controls. I don't think so, Nova replied. The energy signature is different. Almost like the hyperspace field itself is rejecting us. The swirling energies outside the viewports churned violently, and then with a lurch that threw them against their restraints, the ship emerged back into normal space. Before them stretched not the emptiness of the Cygnus Rift, but a massive spatial anomaly, a swirling vortex of darkness rimmed with purple energy disturbingly similar to Goku's own. What is that? Nova whispered. Akar's voice was grave. A void echo, a remnant of the Maw's influence. Your connection to it forced our exit from hyperspace, Goku. My connection? Goku stared at the disturbing phenomenon. You mean part of the Void Maw is still inside me? Not exactly, Akar clarified. But your role as its container created a resonance. These echoes appeared throughout the universe after your sealing, places where reality remains thin, where the barrier between our dimension and the void is weakest. Nova checked their position. We're nowhere near the Cygnus Rift. This detour has thrown us completely off course. Before they could decide on a new heading, the sensors detected multiple ships emerging from hyperspace nearby. Vecna, Nova confirmed grimly as the readings clarified. Somehow he tracked us through hyperspace. The Void Echo. Akar realized. He must have anticipated your resonance with these phenomena and used it to predict our exit point. Goku's expression hardened. We need to move. Now. But it was already too late. Energy beams lanced out from the approaching vessels, striking their engines with precision. The Phoenix Scout shuddered violently, damage reports flashing across the control panels. Engines offline. Nova reported. We're dead in space. A transmission cut through their communications system, Vecna's confident voice filling the cockpit. Impressive escape earlier, Goku. Creating a hyperspace window within a gravity well, a technique not seen since the height of Kai civilization. The warlord sounded almost admiring. But predictable in your own way. I knew your connection to the void would draw you to an echo. Goku grabbed the communicator. What do you want, Vecna? The same thing I've always wanted, perfect balance. The universe made whole again. A pause. But I'm practical enough to proceed in stages. For now, I'll settle for the tears you've collected and the living repository you've so thoughtfully brought me. Not happening, Goku replied firmly. Vecna chuckled. I anticipated your refusal. Hence the targeting of your engines rather than your life support. You have a choice, Goku. Surrender now, or my forces will board your vessel and take what I want by force. Either way, I get what I came for. Goku looked to Nova and Akar, his mind racing through options. Nova shook her head slightly, there was no way to restart the engines in time. Akar, however, looked thoughtful. The void echo, the ancient being said quietly, for their ears only. It resonates with your energy, Goku. You might be able to use it, to draw power from it and create another escape route. That sounds risky, Nova whispered. Drawing power from a tear in reality? Extremely, Akar acknowledged. But perhaps our only option. Goku considered this. What exactly would I be doing? Reaching into the echo, Akar explained, and channeling its energy, not the destructive void essence itself, but the divine countermeasure that contains it. The same energy that flows through you. It was dangerous, possibly more dangerous than facing Vecna's boarding party. But Goku had never been one to shy away from risk, especially when the alternative was surrender. I'll do it, he decided. Tell me how. As Vecna's ships moved into boarding position, Akar quickly instructed Goku. Focus on the echo. Feel its resonance with your own divine essence. Don't try to control it, harmonize with it, as you've been learning to do with the tears. Goku nodded and closed his eyes, extending his senses toward the swirling anomaly outside their ship. The resonance was immediate and powerful, like recognizing a part of himself that had been separated for eons. The divine energy within him responded eagerly, reaching out toward the echo like a distant twin. Got it, he murmured. Now what? Draw the energy toward you, Akar guided. Gradually, carefully. Too much at once could be catastrophic. Goku concentrated, visualizing the purple energy at the echo's perimeter flowing toward him in a controlled stream. The response was stronger than anticipated, not just a trickle but a torrent of power surging toward their crippled vessel. Goku! Nova's alarmed voice broke his concentration. The echo is moving, coming toward us. He opened his eyes to see the spatial anomaly expanding, stretching in their direction like a living thing sensing prey. Through the communicator came Vecna's suddenly urgent voice, What are you doing, Goku? Stop immediately. The echo is destabilizing. Keep going, Akar encouraged despite the danger. This is working, just control the flow. Goku redoubled his efforts, trying to modulate the connection between himself and the echo. It was like trying to control a raging river with his bare hands, the power wanted to flow all at once, to reunite with its counterpart within him. The ship began to vibrate as energy from the echo enveloped it, purple lightning dancing across the hull. Warning signals blared throughout the cockpit. Hull integrity compromised. Nova shouted over the noise. We can't take much more of this. Almost, there. Goku grunted, sweat pouring down his face as he struggled to contain the influx of divine energy. Outside, Vecna's ships began backing away from the increasingly unstable phenomenon. The warlord's voice came through once more, now tinged with genuine alarm, You fool! You'll tear reality apart. Now, Goku! Akar commanded. Channel the energy, not into yourself, but around the ship. Create a barrier. With a shout of effort, Goku redirected the torrential flow, shaping it into a protective sphere around their vessel. The purple energy solidified, separating them from normal space, and from Vecna's forces. What now? Goku asked through gritted teeth, struggling to maintain control. Punch through, Akar instructed. Not into hyperspace, but between spaces. The barrier between dimensions is already weakened here. Goku understood instinctively what Akar meant. Drawing on techniques he'd used for instant transmission but applying them on a larger scale, he visualized their ship slipping sideways through reality, not to another physical location, but to a space between spaces. The energy barrier contracted suddenly, crushing inward before exploding outward in a blinding flash. The Phoenix Scout shuddered violently, and then silence. Stillness. The viewports showed not stars or the void echo, but a softly glowing emptiness, neither light nor dark, but something in between. "Where are we?" Nova whispered, staring at the impossible view. "The Nexus," Akar answered with reverent awe. "The space between dimensions, where cosmic forces intersect. Few beings have ever witnessed this realm." Goku slumped in his seat, utterly drained. "Did we lose Vecna?" For the moment, Akar confirmed. "His ships cannot follow us here. But we cannot remain long either. This place was not meant for material vessels." As if to emphasize his point, a groaning sound came from the ship's hull, and hairline fractures began appearing in the viewports. "How do we get out?" Nova asked urgently, checking the increasingly alarming damage reports. "The same way we entered," Akar turned to Goku. "But it requires more energy than you currently possess after that effort." Goku grimaced. "Great. So we're stuck." "Not exactly," Akar gestured to the tears, which were now glowing brighter than ever, resonating with the energies of the Nexus. "The artifacts can provide the necessary power. But using them in this way, it will change them. Possibly deplete some of the knowledge they contain. What choice do we have?" Nova pointed out as another crack appeared in the viewport. Akar nodded gravely. "None." "Very well." He placed the tears in Goku's hands once more. "Focus on a destination, somewhere you know well, somewhere with strong personal significance to you." Goku thought immediately of Earth, but not the Earth that existed now, unfamiliar and changed by 100,000 years of history. He thought of a specific place on the Earth he remembered, the small house on Mount Paozu where he had lived with Chi-Chi, where his sons had grown up. "I have it," he said, channeling the last of his strength into the connection with the tears. The crystals flared brilliantly, their energy flowing into Goku and then outward, surrounding the ship in a protective bubble similar to the one he'd created earlier. The glowing emptiness outside rippled like disturbed water. "Now," Akar instructed, "visualize tearing through the fabric of the Nexus, opening a path back to normal space at your chosen location." Goku concentrated, imagining the familiar mountains and forests of his home. The energy responded, coalescing before their ship into what looked like a tear in the very substance of the Nexus. "Go," he shouted to Nova, who immediately directed their damaged vessel toward the opening. They passed through with another violent shudder, the ship protesting the transition between dimensional states. Alarms blared as systems overloaded and failed, but Nova managed to maintain enough control for a rough landing rather than a catastrophic crash. The Phoenix Scout plowed through trees and undergrowth before coming to rest in a small clearing. Emergency systems activated, sealing hull breaches and stabilizing critical functions. For a long moment, the three passengers sat in stunned silence, processing what had just occurred. "Did we make it?" Nova finally asked, checking the partially functioning sensors. "This is Earth? But not where we left from." Goku looked out through the cracked viewport, a strange emotion welling up inside him. The landscape was different, trees larger and of unfamiliar species, the contours of the land altered by 100,000 years of geological processes. But something about the quality of the light, the feel of the place. "Mount Paozu," he confirmed softly. "Or what used to be Mount Paozu. My home." He unbuckled his restraints and moved to the emergency exit, needing to confirm with his own senses. The door opened with a hiss, revealing a pristine wilderness untouched by civilization. The air smelled clean and slightly sweet, filled with the songs of birds and the rustle of wind through massive trees. Goku stepped out, his bare feet sinking into soft moss. The divine energy within him responded to this place, resonating with buried memories, as if the land itself remembered him even after all this time. Nova and Akar followed him outside, surveying the damage to their ship. "We won't be flying again without major repairs," Nova assessed grimly. "Multiple hull breaches, engine core completely fused, navigation systems fried." "At least we're safe for the moment," Goku said, scanning their surroundings with both normal and enhanced senses. "I don't detect any settlements or technology for hundreds of kilometers." "A fortunate landing site," Akar agreed. "Vecna will eventually track us to Earth, but finding our specific location will take time." Goku turned to the ancient being. "Speaking of time, we need to use what we have. You were going to teach me to control this power better." Akar nodded. "Yes. And there is no better place than here, where your connection to this world began. The training will be difficult, but essential if you are to face Vecna again." "What about the ship?" Nova asked practically. "And locating the other tiers?" "I can assist with repairs using my knowledge of Kai technology," Akar offered. "Though it will take several days at minimum. And I need rest before attempting another hyperspace manipulation anyway," Goku admitted, feeling the deep fatigue from their escape. "A few days of training while the ship is repaired sounds perfect." Nova looked skeptical but nodded her agreement. "I'll see what supplies survived and set up a camp. We should maintain a low profile, no energy signatures that could be detected from orbit." As Nova returned to the ship to salvage what they needed, Goku looked to Akar expectantly. "So, where do we start?" The ancient being smiled. "With the most fundamental lesson, understanding what you have become. Not merely a scion with divine power, but a nexus of balance in your own right." Goku sat cross-legged on the moss, ready to learn. "I'm listening." "Close your eyes," Akar instructed, sitting opposite him. "Feel the energy flowing through you. Not as something separate from yourself, but as an integral part of your new existence." Goku complied, focusing inward on the divine essence that had transformed him during his long imprisonment. For the first time, he didn't try to direct or control it, he simply observed its patterns, its rhythms, the way it interacted with his original Scion Ki. "They're not fighting each other," he realized aloud. "My Scion power and the divine energy. They've merged somehow. Become something new." "Yes," Akar confirmed. "That is why you cannot access your original transformations like Super Saiyan. You have transcended them. Become something unprecedented, a divine mortal, a being of perfect balance." "So what can I do with this new power? Besides what I've already discovered?" "That," Akar said with a hint of excitement in his ancient voice, "is what we are here to explore." Over the next 3 days, while Nova worked tirelessly to repair the Phoenix Scout, Goku trained under Akar's guidance. They began with energy manipulation, learning to shape the divine essence with precision rather than raw force. Goku mastered techniques for healing, for creating barriers that existed partially between dimensions, for sensing energies across vast distances. He learned to separate his consciousness from his body, extending his awareness throughout the planet and beyond, a skill that would prove invaluable for locating the remaining tiers. Most challenging was the lesson in absorption and redirection, controlling exactly how much energy he took in and how he processed it. Vecna's greatest weakness, Akar explained during one particularly intense session, is his reliance on stolen power. It makes him formidable but fundamentally unstable. Your power, in contrast, is integrated, a natural evolution rather than an artificial amalgamation. "So I can use that against him?" Goku asked, practicing a complex pattern of energy manipulation that caused the divine essence to flow through his body in controlled currents. "Precisely. When you face him again, you will be able to disrupt his stolen energies, perhaps even reclaim them for their rightful purpose." On the evening of the 3rd day, Nova announced that the ship was sufficiently repaired for short-range flight, though interstellar travel would require additional parts they didn't have. "We can reach the nearest spaceport, she explained as they gathered around a small campfire. From there, either obtain the components we need or secure alternate transportation. Good work, Goku commended, impressed by her technical skills. Bulma would have liked you. Nova actually smiled at that, a rare occurrence. High praise, considering who Bulma brief became in history. There's something else we should discuss, Akar interjected, his expression serious. The tears we used to escape the Nexus. They've been altered by the experience. He produced the 2 crystal spheres from a pouch at his waist. The artifacts still glowed with inner light, but the patterns within them had changed, simplified, with portions of their intricate internal structures now dark and inert. Some of the knowledge they contained has been lost, Akar confirmed grimly. Sacrificed to power our escape. What exactly did we lose? Goku asked, concerned. From the tier of worlds, details about the specific boundaries between dimensions. From the tier of memory, some of the history regarding the Void Maw's origin. Akar sighed. Not catastrophic losses, as I retain much of that knowledge myself, but concerning nonetheless. Because it means the tiers are vulnerable, Nova concluded. If we need to use them for power again, we risk losing the very knowledge we need to complete Supreme Kai's plan, Akar finished. Which means we must be exceedingly careful with the remaining tiers once we locate them. Goku nodded thoughtfully. Where is the next one? And who guards it? The tier of life, Akar answered. Guarded by my counterpart Lumine on a planet known as Verdant in the Andromeda sector. It contains knowledge of life force manipulation, crucial for understanding how to safely contain the Void Maw. Nova checked her repaired navigation system. Andromeda sector is at least 3 weeks' journey from here, assuming we can get the necessary parts for hyperspace travel. And Vecna will be looking for us the entire time, Goku added. Especially now that he knows we have 2 of the tiers. A contemplative silence fell over the group, broken only by the crackling of the campfire. Finally, Akar spoke. There may be another option. A risk, but potentially faster. I'm listening, Goku said. Your connection to the Void Echoes. We could use it deliberately this time, locate another echo and use it for controlled dimensional travel, similar to what happened by accident before. Nova looked alarmed. After what happened last time? The ship barely survived. It would be different now, Akar assured her. Goku has better control of his abilities after our training. And I could guide the process more effectively, knowing what to expect. Goku considered this. Could Vecna track us through the echoes again? Possibly, Akar admitted. But we could emerge far closer to our destination, minimizing our time in normal space. It's risky, Nova argued. But so is spending 3 weeks trying to reach Andromeda while Vecna hunts us across the galaxy. Goku stood, making his decision. We'll try Akar's way. But first, we rest. All of us. He looked pointedly at Nova, who had been working almost non-stop on repairs. We'll need to be at full strength for this. She reluctantly agreed, and they settled in for what might be their last peaceful night for some time. As Nova and Akar slept, Goku remained awake, gazing up at the stars that were both familiar and strange after 100,000 years. His thoughts drifted to his family, his friends, all long gone yet somehow still present in the legacy they'd left behind. In Nova's determination, he saw echoes of Vegeta's pride and Gohan's intellect. In the Memory Keeper's dedication, he recognized Bulma's foresight and Piccolo's wisdom. I'm still carrying you all with me, he whispered to the night sky. Still fighting to protect what you helped build. The divine energy within him pulsed in response, as if acknowledging his resolve. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new battles. But for tonight, in this place that had once been his home, Goku found a moment of peace. That peace was shattered before dawn. Goku awakened instantly to the sensation of multiple power signatures approaching, faint but unmistakable. He rose silently, extending his senses to confirm what he already suspected. Vecna's forces had found them, much sooner than anticipated. He woke Nova and Akar with a gentle shake. "We've got company. Advance scout team, about 20 kilometers out and closing fast." Nova was immediately alert, checking her weapons. "How?" "We've maintained energy discipline, kept all systems minimal." The tears, Akar realized, looking at the crystals. They resonate with cosmic forces. Vecna must have developed a way to track their specific frequency. "We need to move," Goku decided. "Is the ship ready enough for takeoff?" Nova nodded. "Basic flight capabilities, yes. No weapons, minimal shields, and hyperspace is still offline. It'll have to do." Goku began gathering their meager supplies. "How close is the nearest void echo?" Akar closed his eyes, concentrating. "There is one approximately 2 light-years from here, in what was once the Oort cloud of this solar system. Can we reach it before Vecna's main forces arrive?" "Possibly," Nova answered, already heading toward the ship. "Depends on how many scout teams he's sent and from which directions." They boarded quickly, Nova powering up the engines while Goku and Akar secured their supplies. The ship rose shakily from the clearing, its damaged systems protesting but functional. Picking up multiple craft entering atmosphere, Nova reported as they ascended. "Different entry vectors, they're trying to box us in." "Head directly for the Echo," Goku instructed. "Maximum speed. I'll handle any pursuit." The Phoenix Scout accelerated away from Earth, climbing rapidly toward space. Almost immediately, alerts sounded as faster, military-grade vessels moved to intercept. 3 ships on approach, Nova called out. "Targeting systems active." Energy blast streaked toward them. With the shields at minimal capacity, a direct hit would be catastrophic. Goku moved to the rear viewport, focusing his divine energy. "Keep us steady," he told Nova. "I'll deflect what I can." As the enemy fire approached, Goku extended his hands, creating a barrier of divine energy behind the ship. The incoming blast struck the barrier and were absorbed rather than deflected, Goku channeling their energy into his own reserves as Akar had taught him. "It's working!" Nova exclaimed as they continued to accelerate away from Earth. "They're falling behind." But the momentary advantage was short-lived. A larger vessel appeared directly in their path, a sleek cruiser bearing Vecna's personal insignia. "It's the Predator," Nova identified grimly. Vecna's personal hunter ship. Faster and more heavily armed than anything in his regular fleet. The cruiser opened fire immediately, not with standard energy weapons but with specialized disruptors designed to target their engines. Several blasts struck. Something went wrong with this response, please try again. Continue onward with the next chapter. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.